Welcome to my new episode, how to create a fantasy weapon for video games. Today you will learn how to create UV information, UV islands, for our model that was created in the last episode. Today you will learn how to set the themes. You will get some information about UV settings and UVs at all, and the menus that you need to create the themes for our model here. Okay, here we go. The last time we finished the mesh for the video game model by using the retopo room and creating this low poly mesh here of our high poly hammer. And today we will start to use or to create the UV information to project textures to our hammer and to paint texture information later in the paint room. Before I start to create the themes and create the UV islands here in the retopo room, I will explain you a little bit or give you some information about UVs at all. What does it mean, UV? Always you are hearing there is UV information, UV coordinates. What is it? UV comes from the coordinate system. So a texture page that you have here has the same coordinate system like your 3D room, like your 3D view. But here the letters for the X and Y and Z axes are not X, Y, Z. The letters are U, V and W. So the U stands for the X-axis on the texture, the V for the epsilon axis, and the W is for the three-dimensional axis, the depth axis, and which you know from the viewport it is called there the Z-axis. So that's all for the basics, and that's just if you hear UV information, you now know why it is called UV and not something else. Good. But now I will explain you the basics for the UV settings here in the retopo room. When you click on Mark Themes, some new commands appear. You see here the commands for your 3D viewport when you are creating themes, and here you see the commands for the UV preview. So as soon as you have here islands, you can edit them by using these commands. Before I start, I will do an unwrap without setting some themes, and now you see we have created some UV islands. This object is called a UV island. In Maya, for example, it is called a shell, and 3D Studio Max uses another meaning. I'm not really sure. It's a long time when I use 3D Max, so. However, it is here it is on the UV island. Okay, this and these tools are for this area here. So when I have marked or activated my UV area here in 3D Code, then the menu here in the top changes. So you've seen it when I go back to the basic tools for retopologizing. The menu is here a little bit different than in the UV area. I will explain you I give you some information about the top menu here. Here you see the name of your current UV set. 3D Code supports more than one UV set. For every UV set you can define a texture information and a texture resolution. So every set you are setting can get later a different texture with a different and own resolution. When you click here, you see the name of your current UV map, and then you can add a new UV set or a new page, a new UV page, and you can delete your UV sets if you don't use it anymore. This tool here deletes the empty UV sets. So if you don't have any island in your UV set, you can delete the set automatically by clicking on this point here, on this menu point. The last one can rename the UV set. So when I'm clicking here, I can change the name here from default to my UVs, for example. And now you see this is the word, or this is the new name of your UV set. The second menu here, the second pull down menu, shows me the name of my UV set, but actually you can move here your islands from one set to another. So when I would have here more than one set, then I could move the islands from this set to a different one. So you can organize on this way your UV sets. For example, if you don't use them, or you don't use them in this set, then you can move them to another set. Then you have different selection modes here. The default mode is the island mode, so when I'm clicking here, I click the whole island and I can change it. Then you have the vertices mode. Then you see here blue dots appear, and I can click the dots individually by clicking on this island here. With Shift A, you can focus on your selection. So when I click on two vertices, for example, then 3D Code fits the selection to the view area here. The control of this area works like in the 3D room. So with Alt and the left mouse button, you can move, with the middle mouse button, no, the right one, sorry. I'm using a Wacom tablet. So with Alt and the right mouse button, you can move and zoom. You can zoom, and with the Alt and middle mouse button you can move the area, and yeah, with the left one you can select, and with Shift you can add more selection to your current selection, and with Control you can subtract your selection elements. Good. The next, and here you can select one and move it by using this gizmo here. You can rotate, for example, when I click 2 points I can rotate the points and so on, and all this you can do here. You can select, scale and all this stuff. The second one is the edges. When you switch from points to edges, there's a very nice function. It works like in the 3D room. So if you are selecting a point, for example, and you switch to edges, automatically the connected edges will be selected by in 3D Code. So when you switch back, you see automatically the points of these edges. So when you are switching all the time, you can use it to expand your selection. Normally nobody does it, but it's sometimes a very nice function to do this, to select points or edges. So okay, in this mode I can work with edges. By the way, every time when you are changing the mode here, the menu changes a little bit too. So for example, when I go back to the vertices mode, I can see some tools that allows me to work here with vertices. I can flip them, rotate and invert and so on. So when I go to the edges room or to the edges mode, then some new tools appear, and I can use them for working with the edges. Some of these tools are very nice. For example, if you have selected some edges and you want to have them organized like a straight line, you just click here and say to line, and 3D Code places a straight line from this point to this point. So what 3D Code actually does is it takes the edges and creates a straight line from the farthest point to the opposite farthest point. In this mode, the edges will be not organized or new sorted, or I mean the vertices are not sorted. So if you want to sort the vertices and organize them to have the same distance between every point, you click here to equidistant. This function makes all points to equal distance. I show it to you on a different situation. So I select now, I go back to the edges, I select now again this elements here, and you see these 2 points are not are different to this, and the distance is different, and I can select them now, and I click on equidistant, and now the points are exactly by the same distance between all together. Yeah. And there are some more cool tools. For example, if you like to have these edges exactly vertical, then you just click to this tool and they will be moved vertically here into the center. And again, you can click here to equidistant and you have the same distance between the points. The same you can do here. You just click on these edges and say you want to have them horizontal. And now the edges will be horizontal. What 3D Code does, it orientates the align by the first edge you have clicked. So the rest of the edges will be organized to the top, to the first one. And then you have some more possibilities. For example, if you take this edge and you say edge loop, then this happens. A loop will be selected, and 3D Code tries to select our edge to a good loop. For any reason there is no loop here. Maybe because there is a point or something. I don't know. No, all is right. For any whatever. Edges, and then you have the possibility to select edge rings. This can be done here just by clicking this one, for example, and now with edge ring all the side edges will be selected. With shift you can add one more and so on, and now you can work with them, move and so on. The same happen with faces, with the faces mode. There you have a different menu a little bit. The tools overall are often the same like the menu before, but some are different because of selection. So what you can do here is you can flip in the U direction, flip the pulleys in the V direction and so on. You can relax them, for example. Relaxation tries to set the same distance between every point and try to relax the faces. It's important for later. Then you can avoid stretch and squeezed polygons and UV information. Then you can hide selected polygons if you want, and unhide them and so on, or unhide all if you like to do this. Then the island mode is the default mode. Yeah. Then you have the brush tool. With the brush tool you can change the radius, for example, and move the selected island directly with the brush. It's a little bit like the brush tool here in the retopo room, but this one works for UV islands. Then you can tweak, for example. Tweak is just a mode where you can directly click on an edge, on vertex or on poly, and move it directly. So if you want to organize manually a UV island, then you are able to use it here in the tweak mode. Great. So okay, and now I go back to the island mode and I will start to set the themes. First I switch off my voxel model and start to do this. Before I am starting, I will hide the other objects here. So I want to see the hammerhead, it's this one here, but I don't want to see the rest of the object. So I click on I hold the Alt button and click on hammerhead, and now all other objects are hidden. And when I hold Alt again and click again on hammerhead, then all others will be selected or will be unhided. Okay, so we see now the hammerhead, and I can work here. When you hide your object, then the islands that are related to this object will be hidden too. So you see just here, this island is our island from the hammerhead. Setting UVs works a little bit like setting UV themes for clothes. So what you are doing actually is you are unfolding the whole object. Imagine it would be like a balloon or like I don't know, a piece of cloth, and you before you are putting the cloth parts together, you have to cut them to parts. And well, this is what you are doing here in the 3D room. You are cutting your projection or your base mesh to parts. To set the seams where the cuts will be done, you have to click on the edges, and the edges appear now in green color and will be set. And you can select loops too automatically, but by clicking just clicking on the shift key here, holding the shift key and clicking onto the edges, and 3D Code tries to select the whole loop here, and you can click and create a loop. As soon as you have created an island, 3D Code changes the color of your islands to help you differ between the different islands. There is another mode I would like to explain more. Here is a small option that is called Preview Islands. When you have clicked the Preview Islands option on, you can see when I go with my mouse over the part, then 3D Code shows me the currently unfolded or currently used UV island here. So this one here is the island for this part, and this is the island for this part. So before I continue, I will unwrap them. So now I see this looks not very nice. This looks a little bit better, but of course not ready. So I am continuing setting the seams for the rest. Now I click on Shift, hold it, and click down, and now you see 3D Code have selected the whole loop here, and automatically island was set. Now I click here in the bottom and set this island here again. Okay. Now you see 3D Code shows me the preview of the unfolded object. It looks like this here on the right hand. So what I do now is I make unwrap, and I see now this is my object here for this part. It is completely unwrapped, and here this green elements, these are my seams that I've set. Okay. Here you can, the first time you can see there are different colors. Some are blue and some are red and some are gray. What does it mean? The red colors here represent stretchy polygons. So this means later your texture will be stretched at this area. This here, this blue areas means the polygons will be squeezed, and the gray one says these polygons are completely okay, there is a good proportion, and they are well placed. So try to create as much blue islands as possible and not the red areas. So you will use some different techniques to do this. 3D Code by default uses the ABF method to unfold an object, but you have the possibility to do this to planar or with LSCM. Sometimes it is good to try the other methods. So what I do now is I click on this island and click on LSCM, and now you see the island looks much better. The red elements are gone and my texture looks better. Here you see some black and white quads. This is the default texture that can be changed here in the top menu. At the moment you see the simple checker. This is a texture that represents our preview texture. Then you have another one. You can change the menu here, the modes here. No checker means there is no texture used. The simple checker is the one we are using at the moment. Then you have the complex checker. The complex texture have some more information like letters this helps you a little bit more to check how good the island work. So then you have a custom texture here. If you click here, then a window appear and you can choose your own texture. So you can choose a JPEG that you would like to use. So this will be projected then here. Actually this texture is projected here on this area, and you can see it here. I will switch the preview islands off because I don't like it really. Okay, here we have our island. When I scale it, then you see the preview changes too. So this helps me to project or to place the island in a good way. And now you see when I start to scale it, then the color differs. That means this island is in proportion much wider, so the pixels are smaller here. Okay, I will do now a new unwrap, and now it works okay. Later we will use let's wait, we will use the auto scale. No, the pack UV. Oh wait, it's different to German. Which one I will use? I hope I wait a second. Sometimes I'm working at the moment. I'm working very often in the German version, so I have to switch to German back. Okay, okay, now I have it. Great. I used this one. This one is very important. English. Okay, here, auto scale. Auto scale is very cool. Auto scale, don't unfold the whole texture. It just scale every island to a very well proportion. So every texel will be in the relation to another. You will see it later when I will explain it later. We will organize this island later when I have set all the themes that are needed for this object. Okay, I will continue now. This part will be now selected again and set to some parts. Okie dokie. Here looks like it. There are two islands, very interesting. So I will do unwrap. For any reason, here are two islands, very cool. Now, what I can see now is this helps me too to see there is a small problem with our object. So what I think is I have double points here. We can see them very good. When I select this element, this part will be selected. So I go back to my low poly mesh and check it now. What happened there? Ah yes, here you can see it. Can you see it? My mesh is not connected at this point here. So I had the possibility to check it in my UV settings. Here is the problem. I haven't seen it before, and now I see it. So what you do here in such a situation, you go to the point faces menu, click on with the right mouse button, move this point, and now move it to the other point, and now you see the other point changes the color to red, and now they are welded. Now this is one object. I hope there is no problem here. No. Okay, looks good. So I have welded the hole here, and now it's okay. Now I move back to my mark themes mode, and with Control D you can deselect the selection. So this one is selected. With Control D you can deselect it. Good. I have this island, and I say unwrap again. Now it looks good. Very nice. This is our part from this element. Good. And this is not unfolded because the problem is it must be open. So I must set a theme here. Now I can click on LCM, and now you see my island is now unfolded. Again, auto scale, and now all of them are scaled. If you like, you can check the other mode. So when you are clicking to ABF, this object looks like this, and LSCM it looks like this. ABF is not so bad. You can use it for different different islands. Some islands are working better with ABF. Some islands are working better with LSCM. So be sure you are trying both modes to be sure that all is working good. So okay, next one. This here, and I set this here. So I cut my object into pieces here. Good. This is my one again, ABF. Now I should have two objects. Move this one to this. Okay. So now click on Shift, click on this, and open the object on this side. Oops. And here Now it is open. I try always to set seams at the back of the object. So again, unwrap, and this is here my object. Here we have it. I change the mode to rotate around current pick point. I like it more than the other one. It's much better. Deselect. So what we can see here, this is again an object that looks not very nice. Shift, by the way, again Shift A, focus our view here. This is not very nice, so I go to Alt CM, and now it looks good. The point is, as soon as you are clicking on Unwrap, all elements will be again unfolded by using the ABF mode. Just to remember. Okay, so later I will organize them all again. But first we are creating the seams. Always try to set as less seams as possible. It is not always possible to set less seams, but try to do this. Here is an example that I would like to show you. When I'm clicking on loop, then 3D Code shows me the preview for the selection. But I want not the whole loop here. I just want to end on this element. So what I do is I click on this element for my end, and now click on loop again, and it ends here. This is 3D Code. This helps you select only a special area. So what I mean is, when I click, for example, here and click on loop, then 3D Code ends the loop here at this point. This is very nice. So additionally, you have another selection mode. There is the mode is UV path. With UV path you can select manually a complex selection. So for example, when I start here, 3D Code connects my points here and sets a preview for my selection. And when I click on return, then a new seam will be set. This can be used for more complex objects. For example, if it's not possible to create a loop here, an edge loop. If this is not possible, then you can use the UV path for longer distances, for example. Good. But I use, the most times I use the mark seams option and the edge loop here. But I don't like the edge loop mode. I like the edge loop temporary by clicking or by holding the shift key. So okay. Good. Now I try to unfold, and now I see this is my object that I have now set. Shift A, and I see the whole one. Now I go to check it, I go to the LSTM mode and see my object looks not bad. There are some critical areas, but you will always have some criticals. It's not really possible to unfold an object completely. It's really hard to do this. But what I do is I like to turn this element a little bit to a geometric position here on my texture. This is good to do this. So when I do unwrap again, yeah, unwrap makes them automatically turning. So what you should do is you should click on auto scale or peg UV, and then the position or the rotation will be the same as then you have set it. And this is the same here for LSTM. When I do LSTM and I, for example, move it somewhere and do auto scale, then my method will stay, my unfold method, and my object will be organized anew in a good way. That's very nice. Good. This small stretches here, this small colors will not be seen later. It's not very critical. Good. So I continue now. I guess I have finished my hammerhead, and I go back to the other one. Now I click on this one. Wait. Alt and okay. I click on the handle. Now I see the handle. The handle is very easy. It's a very long part. This is this one here. And what I do is I click again on Shift, make the upper part set the upper part, set it here to open the object. Now you see the object has a closed element here. So what I do now is first I select this one now here, and now I make unwrap, and here is our stick or our handle. It looks completely crazy. It's because the ABF mode. LSCM makes it much better. Now it looks good. I changed it to a simple checker because it's much better to see how good the proportions are on the texture. So I could turn it, but I will do it later. Good. Now that's all for the handle. And again, going to the sphere. The sphere is very cool, very a little bit more complex. So what I do is I switch the handle on, because the handle, when I see the handle, it helps me to set the seams at the right position. So I unfold, unwrap them. So okay, is this my, no, this is my circle or my sphere. So what we will do, I don't know. I open it and LSCM again, auto scale. Where is it? Where's my, here is my sphere. Now you see there is a little bit chaos here. So it's interesting to set the seams in a good way. I guess I will split my object into two parts here. Now I have two parts and it looks a little bit better. Now I will hide my handle and look where the problem here is the seam that is not very nice. LSCM and looks much better. Unwrap again. Again unwrap. Okay. Here we have it. Looks better, but I will open this element a little bit because you see here you have the stretchy elements and the squeezy. So what I do now is I go to the edges mode, click on this edge, press on shift, click on this edge. The two edges are now selected. No, I cannot see them, but they are selected here. And now in the selected menu I click on set seams. Now you see here are the seams and the other thing is here. And I go back to the islands mode on the island and does a new unwrap. LSCM mode or ABF, let's look. ABF is better in this case. Have you seen it? LSCM is not. It's good in other ways, but on a round object ABF works better. Now it looks good. So let's see what the other is. I guess I will open it too, but in a different area. First here maybe. Let's try it. Let's just try it. I will first do it here. Set the scene. And go to the island mode again. And now I directly click on ABF. It looks a little bit better, and what says LSCM? No, ABF looks better. And this is not bad, not so bad. That's okay. This element is anyway not so much important because it will be hidden or it will disappear a little bit when I do it, when I use it here. Maybe I try to make the seam here because my handle will cover it. Again, LSCM, yes, looks better. And here is a seam that has not to be here. Okay, that looks not bad here. And here. I guess I will split it too. But here I think. And again a little bit less stretchy. Good. Okie dokie, that's the sphere, and now I make the handle ring. This is a very easy object. And now shift, and again shift, and click here on the back, and for unwrap all. Here we have it. This is our element, looks good. This one too. And the last one is a chord. This is a little bit more complex. You can see it here, but nothing that is not to be solved. Again, okay, ABF. Now it looks not bad. It's the first view. Now here is our chords here in this area. This is of course not well, so not good. So what I do now is I cut them from the main object. Here you see it. Now this object works better in the LSTM mode. No. I cut it here too. Again, much better. Yeah. Here we have it. I will correct it later. And here are our chords. A bit bigger. Here you see the stretches. Terrible. So now I see and set again the seams. ABF looks better. And now I do in the back and set the seam here for this one. With this seam I break the loop. Here we have it. And this one will be to ABF. And unwrap again. Here we have it. This one and this one. These are our two chords. I open them a bit, so in this way. A bit better. That's two. I move them here. Unwrap again. This one looks good here, but this one makes some problems. Maybe with LSCM? No. ABF. So, how about here? So I go to the the edges mode, click on this one, set seams, and go back to the island and make it, unwrap it to ABF. Oh no, here's a overlapping, so I cannot do this. I can't do this. Here we have it. It's a little bit, it's a creative work here to set seams, but it makes fun to find the right combination. So it's I like to set seams in 3D code. It's so fast and very interesting. So again, unwrap. What's about LSCM or not? ABF. This element looks not very nice, so I will take a look again. Yeah. See, here is always a preview of my seams or of my edges, what I'm trying to unwrap. Maybe this technique. ABF. No. ABF. So what I do now is I will check where the problem is here. In this, it seems to be a problem in this area. So what I did now is I go to the edges and click them and set the seams. And it looks like here these seams are here. Go back to the islands mode and say ABF or LSCM, no ABF, but they overlap again, so maybe let's try overlap again. I hope I have not to split the object. I guess I will take a look. Maybe I will delete this edges here, these two. This is this one. I go back to the delete edges mode here in the retopo area. Delete this edge, and there must be a second one, this one. I hope it helps. Go back to the mark themes. Island, and again ABF. No, not really. Cancel. I clicked on the planar mode for accident. It looks like the only way to avoid more stretchies is to divide this object into two pieces. But before I do this, I look first how good the texture looks on this element. So there are not much stretchies. You could select the island and now click on relax, and with relax you are able to relax the polygons here, and they look much better than before, but a little bit stretchy. As you can see, the texture will be stretched, so I don't do this. I go back to ABF and now it looks better. I guess I will no, I'm too perfect. I guess I will cut my object here at this position and do it again. ABF, unwrap. I have made a mistake somewhere. It is open. Oh, it's not really cut it here. Now it's cut it. Okay, unwrap again. LCM. No, it does not help. Good. It's a little bit, yeah, it's like science. You have always to see, to look what helps the best. So what I do now, I will use this one. Yeah. Unwrap. Here we have it. Great. I guess I have now unwrapped all elements. Now now I am starting to organize all these islands. As you can see, you see all the stretchy elements here. What I do now is I click on this element and I click on LSCM. Now I want to do this by every object, but it's a lot of work to do it manually. So what I do, I click on one object and say invert. Now all other objects are selected, and now I can click on LSCM and all objects will be unfolded by using this option here, LSCM. And now the others who are not working this well with LSCM, I click them manually and do them by using the ABF mode. Yeah, ABF or LSCM, ABF. And this one, LSCM, no, ABF2. Okie dokie. Now I organize all by using the auto scale option. Every island is now organized in this way that the pixels are completely in the right proportion to each other. So, okay, now again auto scale looks better. So what you can see now is every island have a distance, and all islands have a distance to the borders of your texture. Before you are using this UV set, you should be aware of the distance. When you are using your texture in the game, you always, or you are using the most time, the DDS format. This is an image file format, and in this format the textures are scaled or are saved in different resolutions. This texture versions are called maps. These maps, maybe you heard about it. These maps are used for the different distances of textures. For example, when I am scrolling down or zooming out and I see this small hammer, then in this case I don't need a very high resolution texture, and additionally it helps me to have a low resolution texture not only for the size of the hammer, but it helps me to avoid memory leaks or to avoid flickering pixels and all this stuff. So the DDS format contains different resolutions of our texture, and every one will be saved there. Why I am saying this? When the texture will be scaled, then you could see the seams or the problems with the seams when scaling the texture down. So what a good 3D program or like 3D code does is it makes a dilation here. Maybe you heard the dilation word somewhere sometimes when you used xnormal, for example. In xnormal you can set a dilation automatically. The dilation filter is will be published by xnormal for 3D for Photoshop, for example. You can, when you installed xnormal, you have a filter that is called dilation in Photoshop, and there you will see there is a small dilation or pixels that are ranging from the border of your island and a little bit more to over the border. And the important thing is you should be sure that you have much place or enough distance between the islands to have more space for your dilation area. To be sure that this is right, you can go to the UV settings here, and then a small window appear, and this window lets you set the dilation or set you the distance between the islands. Here, when I click on UV settings, these lines appear. These lines are the border lines where our islands will be arranged at the end. So this yellow line is the border of my texture, and this blue line here, or cyan line, is the border of the UV island organizing. And here these numbers give us the distance to our texture border. So min u means the minimum distance from the U axis here, and this is the minimum distance to the border from the V axis, and minimum means on the left side and maximum means on the right side, and the same here, minimum on the bottom and or top, I don't know, sure, and max on the bottom. So I change them to the value of 3, for example, and now you see my minimum distance changed to this here, to this position. And the same I do for maximum. By this time I press 7, because 1 is the same like 100%. So what you see here is our right border distance or island distance line will be set on the 97th position of your texture. And the same is here. I take a 3 at the top here. What moved is what's moved. And now I make a 7 here. And now when I say OK first and I say auto scale, then you see our islands are now organized and positioned a little bit more to the center of our texture. But this is not all. This here is the first. This is our distance to our outer border of our texture. But what I would like to change is the distance between the individual islands. So I open the UV settings again, and now I have the island distance percent option here. The island distance is set to 100%. The 100% means just that this is the default distance between the islands in 3D code. So when I change this value, for example, to and make it lower or a smaller value for like 50, then the distance will be much smaller. So what I want to do, I want to have a bigger distance. So I use another L value to 400. It's very much, but it's a big amount, but you will see what will happen. Okay, and now I click on auto scale, and now you see the distance is nearly the same like this distance. It's a little bit smaller, but it's okay. And now you see the distance is much better for dilation. And when 3D Code saves the dilations later, then it have much more space, and when the bitmaps will be created, then you have very nice bitmaps. So this is very important at the end when you are creating a UV set. Good. This was our tutorial episode for today. I hope you liked my episode and you have learned something. Next time I will show you how to use this UV information to bake your high poly resolution mesh and your normal informations to this model. And maybe we will start to paint the model. But for today this was all, and I hope you enjoyed my episode. Have a nice day. Bye bye.